So a bit of a gnarly climb here. This section of trail gets so steep that it actually has a chain to grab onto.
Well, now it's getting better. Yes. I was like, oh, if it's all blisters, how am I going to carry a backpack?
Today is October 29th, 2018. After staging a car at the bottom of the Overland Track yesterday down at Lake St Clair National Park, we are now on a shuttle headed to Cradle Mountain, the northern terminus of the Overland Track. The whole track is about 63 kilometers if we take the ferry, or closer to 80 kilometers if we walk around Lake St Clair back to the visitor center where we have our car parked. We're planning to do it over 5 or 6 nights, depending on how it goes. It's quite a popular trail here in Tasmania. It requires a permit that at this point costs $200 per person, but it does include use of the huts along the way if we can find space. Of the 34 trekkers that are allowed to start each day, last we checked there's 9 more permits left out of 34, so we expect to be starting with 23 other people today. So not at capacity, but yeah, it's still enough to probably fill most of the huts. The weather forecast for today looks exceptional for the Cradle Mountain area, with it potentially getting wet later this week. So we'll see how we go.
A lot of Tasmania had apples growing, and we were actually called the Apple Isle up until about the 1960s, when the European Union was formed, and that dried up the main market for the Tasmanian apples. We still have some apple trees. A lot of them have been replanted in the intervening years, but a lot of the farmers have moved on to different crops. Tasmania is now pretty well known for its cherries and its berries. A lot of that it goes to the Asian market, in particular China. We also grow specialty crops like quinoa, saffron, and a whole lot of unusual crops. And one of the main ones we've got growing is the Tasmania is poppies, opium poppies.
There is a detailed list of gear on their website that is required for the trek. We're expecting sort of a shakedown when they pick up our permit to ensure that we have all those pieces of gear. I opted for a lighter Patagonia raincoat instead of the Gore-Tex one that might be better advised for winter conditions. Snow can fall any time of year, as I'm told, but I'm thinking with the forecast as it is this week, I'll be fine with just the lighter waterproof raincoat. As far as pack goes, I'm heading out with about 11 kilos as a base weight. It is required to bring a tent, so we definitely have that on board as well. As you may have noticed, I do like to be well fed in the backcountry, so bringing a little more than 6.5 kilos of food. I'm planning to start with a full 3-liter bladder, so with that altogether, I'll be starting off with a little more than 20 kilos in my pack, which isn't too heavy by Overland Track standards. Just crossed our first bridge on the Overland Track, and our first water filtering as well. We found out the hard way that one of the fountains there in the visitor center actually serves frizzy water with bubbles in it, like club soda. So much to Petra's dismay, she filled up her bladder with club soda without realizing it, which puts pressure on the bladder in not a good way. So we've stopped so she can filter some of the flat water that one would want for a hiking trip like this. The pack is definitely feeling heavy, but the scenery is beautiful. So well-maintained track as well. As you can see, so much of it in the forest here at least is a wooden boardwalk with this metal sort of fencing strapped across of it, so there can still be a little bit more traction if it's frozen or wet. The steepest part of the whole journey is definitely the first day here on the way up to Marion Lookout. Then it'll flatten out for some time with some sort of roly-poly ups and downs before eventually dropping down to where our first hut is. Altogether, about a 10-kilometer day. Just gorgeous weather today. And I'm almost up to Marion Lookout, overlooking this lake here. But this section of trail gets so steep that it actually has a chain to grab onto. So a bit of a gnarly climb here. Glad I brought gloves. Put puffer somewhere?
You're what?
There's no puffer in there.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Today's October 30th, 2018. I actually had the older hut all to myself last night, so I had that going for me, which is nice. The other hut, the newer hut, had maybe 5 or 6 people in there. The tenters woke up to frost on their tents. Petra decided to tent camp like most of the folks here. Such a beautiful night last night. Today is going to be our shortest day. It's about 7 kilometers or something like 3 hours to the next hut, Windermere, with an optional side trip along the way. So we'll see if we have time for that. Probably will. And we'll see how we go. Yeah, I've heard that they offer sightseeing tours via helicopter.
Yeah, easy way to see.
Right, you see all of it at once.
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't get a lot of time. lot of leaving working.
Yeah, the American standard for many, although maybe it's becoming less so with the gig economy, but the American standard has been like 2 weeks a year, you know, if you've got like a government gig. I would hope Australia is more generous than that.
Well, I've got a government gig.
Beautiful. Yeah, of course, if you're working seasonally, like I am, then you get a lot more. For people that are willing to be less stable, you know, in their livelihood and their, you know, living situation. I spotted a skink. It's the word for this little lizard creature that's so common in Tasmania here. It resembles a newt or a salamander, but is much quicker than the salamanders and newts seen on the Appalachian Trail in New England, for example. We just arrived at the Windermere Hut. And the hut's quite nice, we're finding. As are the platforms. There's hooks along the side of all the platforms that I'm noticing so far, as well as these chains here, which I guess would hold tent poles into place or grommets into place in high winds. Hadn't seen it on a tent platform before, so definitely deluxe in that respect beneath the eucalyptus trees here. This is the shortest day of the itinerary between the huts. Tomorrow's the longest day in the itinerary with about 17 kilometers to the next hut and what looks to be some tremendous alpine lake scenery as we pass Mount Pinion on our way to Pinion Hut. I'm here at the Windermere Hut, and I just spotted what I think is a panamelon. And these little guys are a smaller version of a wallaby, with a wallaby being a smaller version of a kangaroo. And these guys are usually moving so fast that I can't even get a photo. It's just like a blur, you know, running away. But you can tell the difference because the tail's a little different. It's a little skinnier with less hair on it. And he's definitely got some roots that he's going for there. Like I said, they're quite timid and moving quickly through the forest. And there we get a view of just how small the tail is relative to typical marsupial. This is definitely the most chill panamelon I've seen on the trip so far. Today is October 31st, which is Halloween back in America, with each permit for the Overland Track costing $200 Australian. It's easy to see where the money's going. These huts so far have just been gorgeous. In great shape, well maintained. Most of them even have a heater that, at least so far, has been a little difficult to light, but nevertheless, they're available at least part of the year when it's below 10 degrees. Pretty nice little viewpoint overlooking this valley here. A little breezy. Not sure that it's the same viewpoint that's noted on the map here, but a worthwhile little snack spot anyhow. Been crossing some muddy sections here of the Overland Track, but still an extraordinary amount of trail work that's been done. With all the wooden planks or boardwalks, such a treat to be on such a well cared for trail. After the next little high point here, should be dipping down into Frog Flats, which has been rumored to have a lot of leeches. There is a campground there, but we were encouraged to press on to the hut, given it's only another 4 kilometers or so to get to the new Pillion hut. But the campground at Frog Flats still remains and is actually the low point of the entire trail, even lower than the northern terminus or the southern terminus. These guys would love to pick apart snacks from a backpack. They are pros at that. Kurrawonga, I think they're called. Just surveying the scene here like I am at Frog Flats. Surprising that the low point would be right in the middle of the trek. At this point I'm only about 4 kilometers from the new Pillion hut, not including the optional side trip to the old Pillion hut. Another beautiful day here. I'll enjoy it while it lasts, as the forecast for later this week is supposed to be rainier than this. Managed to cruise into the new Pillion hut and campground, about 2:30 or so, and found a really nice hut actually. I think they've got room for more than 30 beds or something, but I was in the mood for some privacy, so I decided to pitch my tent instead here on one of the tent platforms. So I'll be enjoying that tonight. Looking forward to a hike to at least Kiaora and maybe further on to Bert Nichols' hut tomorrow, if we can get out early and the weather's good. On the next Backpacker Diaries, we decided to continue on to the next hut. A large storm kicked up too, with thunderbolts and lightning. Very, very frightening. In regard to the weather, we've seen a very nice change indeed.
I just scientifically measured it to be 1.5 fingernails deep, and there you go, there's the snow. It's starting to snow now. Oh, for me, it's deep.